Welcome back to another Meritocracy discussion video, this time with the backdrop of the Twitch stream game where I'm playing as the weird Buddhist Tibetan dudes, even though I'm not Buddhist at all, because Buddhism sucks in this game.
Yeah, if you're trying to watch the Twitch stream on the 7th and you don't see anything, this is why. We couldn't get the audio to work, so Justin just decided to toss it out. Baby with the bathwater. He'll get to it when he gets to it. And
long story short, it got frustrating.
Yeah. You know, computers can be confusing sometimes. Sometimes they don't work the way you intend them to.
No, that's true. Unfortunately true. So we apologize to anyone who watches the stream, and if you ever just don't hear me talking, I talk incessantly, so that means my audio is wrong, and please just type in the chat with, you know, whatever else you want to put in there, and I will get that fixed, or I won't get it fixed like today. So, regardless, Hunter, I brought you here because I wanted to do a part 2 on what we were talking about, because our last video went on for like, what, 20 minutes, and we didn't even intend it to.
Yeah, you had to cut us off short, that way we wouldn't be here for a half an hour. Just talking about
sure
courtiers and dukes and barons and mayors and stuff like
peasants.
Peasants, yeah.
Actually, I'm kind of glad the game doesn't have just plain old peasants. Courtier kind of is a step up. But, we were thinking, so... we talked last time about the theocracies and the holy orders and playing as those and how they could be feasible. But another thing that I thought of at that same time was, what if you played starting as, say, a baron? Which I don't have a baron right here to look at, but as a baron. Or a...
Really? You can't find a baron?
You know what? I like to keep my castles close-knit, and I like cities for money. There, look, a baron. There's Mr. Baron face.
Yeah, that's a baron if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. But I figured, you know, what... would it be feasible, and if so, you know, what other special things could you do starting as one of those characters? Or, like I said, even starting as like a courtier, which I think would be kind of fun.
Just, would it be feasible or would it be fun? Like, you know how Crusader Kings has an inverted pyramid of difficulty. Like, it's hard enough starting as a count sometimes. Can you imagine how difficult it would be to start as a baron with maybe, at the very most, 75 troops?
You would have to not win strictly through conquering, that's for sure.
It would have to have a lot of role-playing elements to it. It's like some serious, heavy role-playing elements.
Like, you're made a commander of an army, and you do well enough where he promotes you and gives you, like, a title, and, you know, you go from there kind of thing.
Yep, that's just what I was thinking. Or you have an event where your long-lost relative has died, and you're his only heir, and you get a county, but the county's in a completely different culture group, a completely different religion group, so you have to survive as a count in a foreign land.
And then you just get holy ward and you die.
Yeah, it's an inverted pyramid. It's the way of life in Crusader Kings. Yeah,
well, and another thing I was thinking of was, I mean, you could become an adventurer like some of the adventurers do, you could become just a raiding party. I mean, I could see it working. I mean, heck, even like the Gonzavids, the Seljuks, they just kind of crop up out of nowhere and start eating whole areas. Case in point.
I've done that from time to time. Have you never like played a game up to where the event spawn troops show up and then you play as that person?
No, I've never done that. It sounds like fun.
Oh, you've never played as the Aztecs.
I never knew you could do that.
All you have to do is, like, you have to let the event fire. You can't play them until they're landed, but once they are landed, you can play as them just like any other faction.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Like, they have their own decisions and stuff. Like, they have a whole list of decisions, sacrifices. It's been a while, so I don't remember any of them beyond the sacrifices, but they're a fleshed out nation, culture, and religion.
Interesting. I did not know that. I thought you could just, you know, custom create a character like that, but... Anyway.
Anywho.
But the point is, there would be ways of pulling it off. Yeah, it'd be difficult, but I could see it if you add a bunch of different events and, like, you know, even especially, you know, decisions you can make, I could see it becoming something that, I could see it becoming very feasible. Like, if your guy is good at, say, martial, he could become a warrior. If he's good at learning or something, he could actually become, like, they call for a smith. You're the smith. You get sent over there. Smith. You make a good amount of money.
I think there's certainly an audience for that, but it's more akin to maybe if Paradox makes a text-based adventure game, then
yeah, that's true.
Instead of having it built directly into Crusader Kings. Because then you'd be playing with all of this user interface and all of these moving sprites and all of these territories, but you would be playing 80% of your game through text boxes, dialogue options, and events.
Probably. Because the only other thing you could do with it is, say there's another baron, you could try to go conquer his castle or something, and then get like 5 or 6 castles, have enough troops, and then maybe take over little bits and pieces until your account. Then once your account, you can't do that anymore, obviously, but... But it is, I mean, it's feasible, but you'd have to make some contingencies to not make it a text-based adventure.
Well, Paradox could just make it into a different game. They could make like a medieval version of Cities Skylines, where you're just managing a castle.
It'd be a sim or something.
Yeah, it's just, you know how when you pull up a not a county, the level below county, a barony, and you select, I want to build walls, I want to build a castle town, I want to build a barracks, a militia training yard. Like, just have that be its own game where you just build those things in a top-down base building kind of game. And then you can just do that until, I guess, the end game of that base building game would be your king promotes you, or you become powerful enough to take over the county with your troops, and then you just do a save transfer into Crusader Kings. like you transfer from Crusader Kings to EU4. Like, it just add it to the lineup of Paradox Grand Strategy mega campaigns.
I mean, you got to get it going from Imperator, the new game, to coming with all the way to the very end of Stellaris. That's the goal right there.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, you start from Imperator. You play as this Roman, this Roman lord conquering the world, and eventually the barbarians come in and destroy everything, burn it down to the ground. I don't know what the time jump would be, but time jump 5 or 6 decades, and you're just the only surviving member of that dynasty just has a lowly barony in the south of France, and you just have to build it back up again from then.
Watch Charlemagne stomp on everyone. You're like, yeah, go Charlemagne, woohoo!
Of all the after action reports I've read and Let's Plays I've watched, I don't think anybody's done a Charlemagne to Stellaris run through. Like,
it's because it's not really possible, is it?
Well, you would have to roleplay it from Victoria 3. I mean, you'd have to roleplay it from Victoria and Hearts of Iron. Like, you could be Charlemagne's lineage all the way through EU4, but when you got to Victoria, I guess your only parameter would be keep the government type the same. It would all just be all roleplay and stuff, because you don't actually see in Victoria what your leader's name is, but you do still see the government type. And then in Hearts of Iron, you can see the monarch. So Hearts of Iron, that could work. You could still be a descendant of Charlemagne in Hearts of Iron.
But then you'd have to make a very ridiculous jump from that to Stellaris.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Stellaris anyway, it doesn't really... Like, there's not really anything to transfer over. It's just your... taking basically what you think the most dominant nation in Hearts of Iron is, and just copy and pasting those ideologies and ethics onto a Stellaris race.
True, good point. We went off on a fun tangent, but why not, right? That's what these discussion videos are all about. They're discussing things.
Yeah, you just gotta chat. We don't really have a narrow scope that we're looking at. We're just we have a jumping off point, and we just take things from there.
The video literally was, hey, honey, you want to do part 2 of the discussion? Yeah, sure. Hey, that's what we're talking about. We're starting in like 2 minutes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes if you give somebody too much time to prepare, they just get, let's be honest, I wouldn't have prepared anyway. So it's fine that you just ask me off the cuff. That way I could just give you, my thoughts, what's just rattling around in my brain.
It's the real thoughts.
What is that? Is that a Shia faction in the south of Ethiopia?
Oh, that is! I think. It's a Jewish place, or it's Shia, but it's, owned by a Jewish person.
Oh, okay.
By the way, Abyssinia is Jewish.
Yeah, because that's where they have the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. Well, the whole place is still Jewish, but anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up here. We wanted to keep this one a little shorter, but it's also just kind of a thought-provoking thing. Would you play as a baron, as a mayor, as a courtier? Heck, playing as a courtier would be very interesting. You get a matrilineal marriage or something in there.
I think,
But
not to, I know you're wrapping it up. I think the adventurer thing has some merit. You could have an adventurer screen a lot like the way the horde interface is radically different. You could have an adventurer interface where you have to manage supplies, attrition. You have to make sure your troops are fed and their morale is, that their morale is decent. So I think there's something there with the adventurers.
yeah, I could see it. It would take some work. I think the core structure of the game right now is count is your smallest. Everyone below you is basically an ant that you're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, everybody else is just a name and a face.
A name and a face. Anyway, we will leave that one there. Leave down below though any suggestions for any future discussion videos. I don't think there's anything we won't really discuss. Just obviously don't make it anything stupid. If we don't know what it is you're talking about, we probably won't talk about it because we are too lazy to do too much research into things we don't know. At least I don't know about you.
Justin, they can't think both of us are lazy.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so you're productive because you're the editor.
Oh, I'm the productive one. All right.
We're gonna put that moniker on and just stick it right there in your face.
Yeah. All right, Justin, you got to let him go before we hit the 15-minute mark.